Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Extremely Badass Championship Wrestling. Today I have a SmackDown matchup for you guys that I've taped a few weeks prior. It's Diamond Dallas Page, the World Heavyweight Champion of SmackDown versus Lex Luger. So we got two WCW veterans going at it. I still consider DDP to be my favorite. Lex Luger wasn't bad, but I've seen some good matches with him on the WWE Network, but I'll always take DDP over Lex Luger. Hey, I'm just a fan of the Diamond Cutter. What can I say? Anyway, I have a very specific commentary today. Something I've wanted to talk about for a while. I have mentioned it back a little bit on Twitter and stuff. I haven't mentioned it much on YouTube, but I figured I'd make a discussion about it. It's about why 2015, for me, in my 7 years of watching WWE and professional wrestling in general, was probably the most embarrassing year to be a wrestling fan, other than a few aspects, which I'm going to get to. First off is this, WWE, thanks a lot, WCW, for getting all the WCW characters in this game fucking with my head. But WWE's booking of Raw was probably the main reason why 2015 in general was probably one of the worst wrestling years I've seen. It really didn't pick up, like, in terms of, how awful things were until after WrestleMania 31. It wasn't until after WrestleMania 31 that the show just became unwatchable. For some reason, it was awful booking. The show dragged out. I've never realized how much a wrestling show drags out in 3 hours until I watched Monday Night Raw. And it's just, even now it's still bad, but they don't do anything to fix it. So 2015 really, for Raw was awful. And with the injuries and all this stuff, it really didn't do WWE any favors. And they had the whole thing with shoving Roman Reigns down our throats for pretty much most. I wouldn't say most. About half the year was WWE shoving Roman Reigns down our throats. Even worse than they were trying to do when in the beginning of 2015 when he won the Royal Rumble, which is a whole nother problem in itself, and it still is a problem because now look at where we're at with Roman Reigns as WWE Champion in 2016. And WWE isn't just the only company I feel that fucked up in 2015. TNA was... Oh, God, TNA. I'm a TNA fan, I admit that publicly. But for Christ's sake, 2015 fucked them up real good. I think it was after the point... I think half the year, was decent for them. A good half of the year was decent. When they moved to Destination America in January and stuff, at first everything was okay, everything was fine, and then all of a sudden, just the weirdest bullshit happened, It wasn't until Slammiversary, was it Slammiversary or Bound for Glory? I don't know which one. Actually, maybe it was Slammiversary. It wasn't until Slammiversary with the whole Jeff Jarrett and GFW invasion, which lasted fucking short. It lasted a good month and a half. Actually, maybe even lasted less than a month. It lasted pretty much just a month. And it kind of dragged out. Kind of was a little boring to watch at times. And then, they had the whole thing with TNA prevailing over Global Force Wrestling. And I'm like, I was sitting here to myself, okay, it was decent. The last match they had in Lethal Lockdown was a decent match. It's just... Oh, God, the whole angle was a mess. They tried to copy the WCW, ECW invasion, and it just didn't work out, in my opinion. And then Bound for Glory happens. Now, Bound for Glory, Matt Hardy wins the world title. EC3 being the great heel that he was at that time, he says he's having an injunction or whatever against TNA, and that forces Matt Hardy to relieve the title, just something storyline dumb-wise or whatever. And it leads to this whole fucking tournament that was probably... It was a great idea on paper, but executed, it was so poorly done. They had the World Title Series, which is probably the most poorly done tournament I've ever seen. The whole structure of it was boring to watch. It had almost the same person every other week, like fighting another person who you saw either last week or the week before. You know, the first month of it dragged on horribly. And then when they got to the bracket part, because the whole point of the first month and a half was you had to qualify for the tournament, for even being in the thing by points. And that's where the whole, I'm going to face the same person about 5 times, or we're going to see the same people on TV 5 times comes in. And that bored the shit out of me personally. And plus, I think the whole thing was they taped all that stuff like in July or something. It was kind of really weird. It was really fucking weird, you know, the whole setup of it. I didn't get it at all. And it wasn't until Destination America signed ROH that I was like, oh, finally something new to watch, because WWE was awful. TNA was fucking garbage for half the year. It wasn't until Destination America signed ROH for a TV deal for half a year, for whatever fucking reason. I'm going to get to that in a second. They half a fucking year, you know, I'm watching probably the best wrestling on television at that time in the US, you know, because I don't count New Japan because I don't know where I can find New Japan. I'm pretty sure they have great stuff over there too, but I mean, ROH was fucking amazing. I found so many new wrestlers. I became a fan of so many new people. I loved their product, Ring of Honor. I loved watching their product. Wednesdays at like it was their time slot was like once at 8 o'clock, and then it moved to like 11 for some fucking reason. So you know, Wednesdays was strictly, I was strictly looking forward. I think it was Wednesday anyway. I was strictly looking forward to Ring of Honor. I couldn't stand TNA. I couldn't stand WWE. So Ring of Honor's product was really refreshing to me as a wrestling fan, and it didn't make me as embarrassed as I was for pretty much the whole year to be a fan of wrestling, because their stuff was fantastic. I love the wrestlers they have there. I'm a huge fan of Jay Lethal, Jay Briscoe, Adam Cole. I was a fan of Nakamura when he was in there, when he made some appearances. Who else? AJ Styles, when I saw some of his stuff. I haven't seen AJ Styles in years since he left TNA, and I knew he was working in Japan, and seeing him do some stuff in ROH was pretty great. Okada, I love the whole money raining thing with him, like Okada bucks flying all over the place from the fans. You know, it was such a great atmosphere. I loved it. I loved the fact that they threw streamers all over the place every time an entrance happened. So it was just great. It was really great stuff to watch. And for whatever fucking reason, in November, it had a their last show was Jay Lethal versus Roderick Strong, who was another one I was a fan of. They had their last encounter for the TV title, the ROH Television Championship, and it was a great match. I loved it, and I find out like the same week that Destination America isn't carrying Ring of Honor anymore. And I'm like, oh, fuck me, where are they going to go? And it turns out they're on some other fucking station that I don't even know what the fuck is called. Like, I don't know, like Cosmic Network or something like that. I don't know. Someone mentioned that in the comments section because I don't even know. So, and I'm sitting here like, Destination America, you fucked up. I mean, they fucked up with TNA. They fucked up with Ring of Honor. And now I have to sit here watching the same bullshit I've been watching the last few weeks with WWE. I'm pretty much back in the same place I was in 2015. Now, if only Ring of Honor can come back on television again, that'd be great, because I don't have anything related to the Sinclair Broadcasting Network. Anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed the match. I hope you guys have enjoyed my little rant about how 2015 as a year for wrestling was fucking garbage. So I'll catch you on the next episode of EBCW. DDP, the world champion, remains victorious here. So I'll see you on the next one. Peace out, y'all.
You've done something right. It'll be interesting to see the fallout following this big singles win here tonight.